Minnesota Vikings at home in Philadelphia. And all these Viking fans showed up. I think it was the championship game. It was the championship game to go to the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl was going to be in Minnesota. Mm-hmm. So they're all coming because we're going to have the Super Bowl in our home stadium. Well, the Eagles kicked their ass. But what happened was that they're coming in all their purple colors, all their stuff.
That's some big goddamn fans, too. Like, it'd be different if it was Jacksonville Jaguars or some shit, but you're talking about the Vikings. That's the big people from Minnesota.
Philly didn't care. They were throwing full beer cans at these people as they were coming in and sailing in.
Classy.
And people were like, can you believe the Philadelphia fans are throwing beer can? And they're like, hey, we're offering them free beer. Yeah. We're being hospitable over
Have
here.
Have a drink, you fuck.
Meanwhile, guys are going down to get hit in the head with beer cans.
Some of your fucking I know you guys got your version of rednecks. There's just some dickhead up there with a PVC pipe American Gladiator launcher, and he's just lobbing PBRs at people's foreheads.
Absolutely.
Eat that, motherfucker.
So they were talking about reparations. You heard in San Francisco they were going to give black people like $5 million, I think it was, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they could prove that they came from, they came over here as slaves. So this gentleman right here, I think he's threw a monkey wrench in all this. So give a listen.
If you dissect it, you will find there were about 3,700 free blacks who owned 12,000 slaves.
Whoops.
Black slaves. The question is, do the descendants of those free blacks who owned black slaves, do they pay? Blacks really benefited more the first 100 years after slavery than we have in the last 50 years. I was born in 1937 during the Depression. Everyone in my small, low-income black community, 98% of the households had a man and a woman raising children. Elderly people could walk safely in that community without fear of being assaulted by their grandchildren. Never heard a gunfire during that time. Never heard of a child being shot to death in the crib. But there are 50 children today who have been shot and killed in our cities. If you're talking about remedies, we've got to look beyond saying that every solution has to have a winner and a loser, that blacks can only benefit if whites lose. We have to be defined more than just victims of oppression.
There you go. I don't know how you argue with that.
Black Republicans. Hoo-ah.
I'm not even saying he's Republican. That seemed more libertarian to me.
Maybe.
To be quite honest with you. He's like, hey, listen, we all have to, do our best to not, to call out bullshit. And, there was 3,000 free blacks here that own 12,000 slaves. Do they have to pay reparations? So now all of a sudden you're like, I'm going to look into my lineage. And all of a sudden you're like, I'm going to get my $5 million. And then you go and you look and you're like, what?
You call up Wesley Snipes and you go, hey, motherfucker.
What?
Your great granddaddy owes me some money too.
Yeah, wait a minute. We own slaves? You mean
Samuel
I'm on the hook?
L. Jackson, you know goddamn well your great granddaddy owned slaves.
I got a question for both of you because I wouldn't do this.
Can I respond to that really quick?
Sure.
I just do think that doesn't really address the scope of the problem where, like, just because some black people own slaves, it's still like a systemic,
No, that one dude was not buying an ounce of it. They cut to that one young brother who was in the crowd that was like, he was saying the N-word, but with his eyes. He was just like, you know what you're doing right now.
I go back to, growing up when there was real racism. And right now there's not real racism. We really don't have racism like we had back in the, late 60s, mid 70s, early 80s. I mean, that was real racism.
It's around, but it's more laughable now, I think, John. Like, I saw a thing just not an hour ago. I was looking on Twitter, and it was some dickhead making a drink, like in the driver's seat of a car. And it kind of swelled my heart a little bit to see, like, in the comment section, these young people, they were like, way to drink and drive, jerk off, or whatever. And I go, maybe there is hope for some of these kids. Because the rest of them could have been like, sweet, dope, making drinks, blah, blah. But there was a healthy percentage of people that were like, way to drink and drive, retard, like, just giving them the business. There's an ethical thing in there that you kind of have or you don't.
I'd love to see the demonization of alcohol in my lifetime. That'd be fun.
You think so?
Fuck
Yeah.
yeah, that's great.
So what would you do? I mean, so it looks like you partake in. Is marijuana legal in Arizona?
No, it's legal.
It is legal. Okay, I was just wondering.
sir.
So
Yeah.
I mean,
Officer.
so what would be the? I mean, what's the difference between alcohol and marijuana? Although I guess you could say marijuana's been. I would just let everybody do whatever. You want to have a drink, you want to have a drink. You want to smoke pot, you want to go smoke
Yeah.
pot. I
100%.
think
I mean, culturally, definitely, I don't want the government to tell us what we can
Right.
do.
I'll be honest with you. I think I draw the line with heroin and LSD.
Not me. I say get all the drugs and outlaw Narcan. If you overdose, it's your fucking problem.
Population control. Well, I always say there's 3-strike rule. Like I said, if you get caught using 3 times, you just give you a big hot shot and send you to the Lord or wherever.
That'd
That's
be pretty
my-
sick.
that's my-
Please
There
shoot
you
it in
go.
between my toes.
Now we're going to just give you right in the main vein. Just going to give you that one big last.
Oh shit! The Uma Thurman Pulp Fiction shot.
That's
where they
it.
just go right through the fucking breastplate.
Right, yeah, right there.
Ooh.
I just think it's interesting that alcohol is the culturally sanctioned drug, and weed's getting there now, and I think that'll be a positive, at least as far as people who use drugs go. But
Mhm.
you know, that's just what it is. Alcohol is culturally sanctioned at all points throughout your whole life, and then
Yeah.
it leads to so many excess deaths and so much like just its effects on an individual are enough to just go, this is probably not something we should culturally reinforce, to a significant level.
You're really not wrong, because if you want to break it down to brass tacks, also cigarettes, caffeine, like those other things are definitely in the categories, but they really don't push those as much as they do booze anymore.
Mhm.
If you took caffeine away, like you took it out of coffee, there would be a riot. I mean, you want to talk about a revolution. I can't tell you how many white mothers would go to the streets, arm themselves, take over the state capitol. There would be an insurrection if you took coffee away from mothers. I need that. I'm raising children. I need caffeine.
Yeah, just like if you take your hair away from a junkie, they're like, "Please, I'll suck your dick." And you're like, "You want decaf? That's what you're gonna get."
Decaf. Yeah, Duchess. And she'd be the one. She'd be in the front lines. George,
Please,
we're going to
please,
get
Lord.
coffee. Absolutely.
She'd be out in